Have you ever wondered why one product, say a smartphone, just flies off the shelves, selling millions, while a competitor with almost the exact same features just flops? It's not always about luck or even just marketing. See, there's this fundamental economic force at play. And today, we're going to break down the 6 key factors of demand that are secretly shaping every single purchase you make. I mean, really think about it for a second. What is that magic ingredient that separates a product that everybody has to have from one that just ends up in the clearance bin? Well, it's not a mystery. The answer is actually rooted in one of the most basic principles of economics. And that principle is called market demand. Now, I know it sounds a little technical, but it's really pretty simple. It's just the total desire for a product at a certain price. So if we can figure out what fuels that desire, we can basically crack the code of why some things sell like crazy and others don't. To make this whole thing a little more real, let's imagine we're on the journey of a brand new product. Let's call it the Aura Jacket, a smart jacket that literally changes color based on how you're feeling. Sounds pretty cool, right? But the real question is, would anyone actually buy it? We're going to use this idea to explore the 6 big forces that would decide its fate. So the first, and honestly, the most important piece of this whole puzzle is always going to be the people. Before we even think about the design or what features to add, we have to ask the most fundamental question. Who are the potential customers for our Aura Jacket? The very first factor that shapes demand is population. And look, it's really tempting to just think, well, more people means more sales. But the truth is, it's way more nuanced than that. It's not just about the total headcount. This is where the composition of the population comes into play. It's not just about how many people there are, but who they are, right? A growing elderly population is going to increase demand for healthcare, not for skateboards. So for our Aura Jacket, this is an absolutely critical question. Are we making this for trend-setting teenagers or maybe for tech-savvy young professionals? Nailing down our target market is the very first step to figuring out if we even have a shot at success. But, just having a target market isn't quite enough. Those people also have to be able to afford what you're selling. And that brings us right to our second factor, the distribution of income. This really gets at a fundamental truth. A society's wealth basically dictates its shopping list. In a market where most people are just trying to get by, the demand is all about essentials, food, housing, you know the drill. But in a more affluent society, people have that extra disposable income for luxury goods. And our Aura Jacket? Come on, let's be honest, it's a total luxury. Its success would depend entirely on finding a market with enough people with enough cash to spare for a high-tech fashion statement. All right, so we've looked at the customers, but that's only part of the story. Next up, we're going to see that there are these massive external forces out there that can either make or break a product. And these are forces that are completely out of a company's control. So let's start with one of the most powerful and, well, predictable forces on the entire planet, the weather. It sounds almost too simple, right? Of course you sell coats in the winter and fans in the summer. But this simple truth is absolutely critical for market demand. It forces us to define what our Aura Jacket even is. Is it a heavy insulated winter coat, or is it more of a light spring jacket? Because if we decide to make it only for mild weather, we've automatically limited our sales to just a couple of months out of the entire year. Now let's talk about a factor that can change the entire game literally overnight: government policy. The rules that politicians set can either pump up your product's demand or stop it completely dead in its tracks. The government really has 2 main levers it can pull here: taxes and subsidies. If they slap a big tax on something, the price goes up and demand will probably fall. But if they offer a subsidy making it cheaper for people to buy, demand can just soar. So imagine our Aura Jacket is a huge hit, but then the government decides to introduce a new wearable tech tax. All of a sudden, our price could be pushed way too high for a lot of our customers. And finally, for this section, let's zoom all the way out to the big picture, the overall state of the economy. This is really all about consumer confidence. Are people feeling good about the future and ready to spend, or are they worried and starting to tighten their belts? It really boils down to 2 extremes. During an economic boom, everyone's feeling confident. People are happy to spend money on new and exciting things. I mean, that would be the perfect time to launch the Aura Jacket. But in a recession, priorities shift almost instantly back to the necessities. And in that kind of climate, our cool, color-changing jacket would most likely just sit on the shelf. So far, we've looked at these huge forces that are pretty much out of a company's control. The population, the economy, even the weather. But our 6th and final factor, this one is different. This is where a company can actually step in and actively create its own demand.
And that factor, of course, is advertisement. It is the art of making someone desire something.
I absolutely love this quote from the source material because it's so simple and it is so true. Think about it. Anil isn't choosing that soda because of its taste or its price. He's choosing it because an actor he really admires made it seem cool. That, right there, is the incredible, undeniable power of advertising. And that is the ultimate lesson here. Good advertising doesn't just sit around and wait for people to decide they want an Aura jacket. No! It convinces them that they need an Aura jacket. It's all about connecting the product to a feeling, to a lifestyle, maybe even to an identity. And that can be the single most powerful factor of them all. So we've taken our little fictional Aura jacket on quite a journey, haven't we? Now, let's just step back for a second and put all 6 of these pieces of the demand puzzle together. And here they are, the 6 factors that really determine demand. It all starts with the population, who can even buy it, and their income distribution, who can actually afford it. Then you've got these big external forces, like the season and weather, and the impact of government policy. You have to think about the overall state of the economy. And then finally, you have the power of advertisement to actually create that desire. For any product to really succeed, all of these pieces have to click perfectly into place. And now, I'm just going to leave you with a final thought. Just look around you right now. Look at your phone, the coffee cup on your desk, the car driving past your window. Think about a product you bought recently. Can you see how these 6 forces, everything from government policy all the way to a clever ad you saw, work together to put that product right in your hands? Once you start to see it, you'll never look at the world of business the same way again.